The 12 members of the Galactic Council sat around the massive crystal table. Light from 3 suns streamed through the dome above them. Each council member looked different from the others. Some had scales, others had tentacles, and a few had too many eyes. High Chancellor Zorvac of the Viridian Empire stood up. His blue skin glowed slightly in the sunlight. The jewels on his formal robe caught the light as he moved to address the council. "My friends," Zorvac said, though his voice suggested they were anything but friends. "The Viridian Empire faces troubles within our borders. To strengthen our position, we propose a union with our newest council members." The Dorn representative, a being made mostly of floating gas inside a containment suit, made a sound like bubbling water. "You mean the humans? They've barely mastered faster than light travel." Laughter filled the chamber. Even the normally serious Krell delegation clicked their mandibles in amusement. "Yes, the humans," Zorvac continued, ignoring the mockery. "I propose a marriage between my daughter, Princess Alara, and a suitable human candidate." The laughter grew louder. The Arcturian delegate, a tall insect-like being, wiped moisture from one of its compound eyes. "Why not marry her to a pet instead? It would be about the same level of advancement." Zorvac's eyes narrowed, but he showed no other signs of anger. "The vote has already been taken by my council. The match will proceed. We have selected a human, named Nathan Wright, as the groom." On Earth, in the North American Administrative Zone, Nathan Wright sat at his desk in the Colonial Relations Department. At 32, he had built a quiet but respected career. His brown hair was neatly cut, and his office was organized perfectly. Nothing in his orderly life had prepared him for what was about to happen. His computer screen lit up with an incoming call marked Priority 1. Nathan straightened his tie before accepting. Director Peggy Wells appeared on screen. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her expression was unusually serious. "Nathan, I need you in my office immediately." 15 minutes later, Nathan stood in shocked silence as Director Wells finished explaining his new assignment. "Let me understand this correctly," he finally said. "The Viridians want me to marry their princess? The actual heir to their empire? Why me?" "They reviewed all colonial relations personnel," Wells said, sliding a folder across her desk. "They specifically requested you. This isn't just a diplomatic post, Nathan. It's a political marriage that could change humanity's standing in the galaxy." "But I have no political connections," Nathan protested. "I'm just an analyst." "Apparently that's what they want." Wells tapped the folder. "The princess is named Alara. She's over 100 years old by our count, though they say that's young for them. You leave for Viridia Prime in 3 days." Nathan opened the folder. A hologram appeared showing a tall, slender woman with pale blue skin and white hair that seemed to float around her head. Her eyes were completely black, without pupils. She was beautiful in an alien, unsettling way. Nathan stepped off the transport ship onto Viridian soil. The gravity was slightly stronger than Earth's, making his movements feel heavy. The air smelled like cinnamon and metal. 3 suns hung in the purple sky, casting multiple shadows around him. A group of tall, blue-skinned Viridians waited at the bottom of the ramp. They wore flowing robes with complex patterns that seemed to move on their own. None of them smiled. "Mr. Wright," said the tallest one, "I am Advisor Keltor. Welcome to Viridia Prime. Please follow me to the palace." The ride to the palace was silent and uncomfortable. Nathan looked out the window at the Viridian capital city. Twisted towers of crystal and metal reached impossibly high into the sky. Flying vehicles moved in perfect patterns between buildings. Everything looked clean, orderly, and cold. The royal palace was a massive structure that seemed to be made of blue ice. Inside, the walls glowed with soft light. Nathan's footsteps echoed as he followed Keltor through long hallways decorated with strange art and moving holograms of past Viridian rulers. "You will meet Princess Alara now," Keltor said, stopping before a large door. "Remember to bow deeply and speak only when spoken to." The doors opened to reveal a vast circular room. At its center stood Princess Alara. In person, she was taller, than Nathan expected, nearly 7 feet tall. Her white hair floated around her head as if underwater. Her completely black eyes studied him without blinking. "So," she said, her voice musical but cold, "this is the human they expect me to marry." Nathan bowed deeply as instructed. "Princess Alara, I'm honored to—" "Save your prepared speech," she interrupted. "This arrangement is not my choice, nor, I suspect, is it yours. We will both do our duty, but do not expect warmth from me." She walked around him slowly, examining him like a specimen. So fragile-looking, so temporary. Your kind lives, what, 100 years at most? I am already 123, barely an adult by our standards. Nathan stood still, unsure how to respond. Finally, he said, "I understand this. Situation is difficult. I hope we can at least work together respectfully." Alara laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Respectfully? Do you respect an insect? That is the difference between us human." She turned away. "Your quarters are prepared. We will begin cultural training tomorrow. The ceremony is in 40 days. Try not to embarrass yourself or your species until then." With that, she left the room, her flowing dress trailing behind her. A young woman entered from a side door. She had blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail and wore the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. "Well, that went about as expected," she said with a sympathetic smile. "I'm Kira Daniels, Human Embassy staff. I've been assigned as your guide." Nathan let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "Is she always like that?" "Pretty much. Don't take it personally. The Viridians think all other species are beneath them. Come on, I'll show you to your rooms." As they walked, Kira spoke quietly. "Something strange is happening here. The Viridians have been canceling meetings with all alien representatives. Their research facilities are on lockdown, and I've seen some of their officials looking sick." "Sick how?" Nathan asked. "Their skin turns gray, and they seem to age rapidly. Then they disappear from public view." Kira looked around nervously. "Be careful what you eat and drink. I don't trust any of this." Inside his quarters, Nathan found a message waiting on the communication panel. It was from High Chancellor Zorvac. "Meet me in the Garden Observatory at midnight. Come alone. Tell no one." Nathan stared out the window at the alien landscape. Far below, he could see a garden with strange plants that glowed in the gathering darkness. Whatever was happening here, he was now in the middle of it. "I don't have a choice, do I?" Nathan asked quietly. "Not if you want humanity to maintain its council seat." Wells smiled sympathetically. "Pack for a long stay. The marriage ceremony is in 6 weeks." As Nathan left the office, his orderly life in shambles, he didn't know that on 12 worlds across the galaxy, beings of various forms were placing bets on how quickly the human would fail, be killed, or run home in terror. Only High Chancellor Zorvac, sitting alone in his private chamber on Viridia Prime, knew the true purpose behind selecting this particular human. He studied Nathan's genetic profile once more and smiled. The human had no idea what was hidden in his DNA, or how it would change the future of 2 species and eventually the entire galaxy. Nathan had been on Viridia Prime for 2 weeks. Each day followed the same pattern. In the morning, he studied Viridian customs with a teacher who clearly disliked humans. In the afternoon, he attended meetings where nobody listened to him. In the evening, he ate dinner alone in his room. Today was different. Nathan had been summoned to the Grand Council chamber. The Galactic Council was meeting on Viridia Prime, and all 13 species would be present. "Remember to stay quiet," Kira told him as they walked toward the chamber. "The council members already think humans are stupid. Don't give them more reasons." The chamber was enormous. A circular table stood in the center with 13 large chairs. Above them, floating screens showed information in various alien languages. The room was already full of representatives from across the galaxy. Nathan saw Princess Alara standing with her father. She wore a formal white dress that seemed to glow. She glanced at Nathan, but didn't acknowledge him. "Look at the human pet," said a tall insect-like being, the Arcturian representative. "Does it do tricks?" Several aliens laughed. Nathan kept his face neutral, though he felt his cheeks grow warm. The meeting began with High Chancellor Zorvac speaking about trade routes. Nathan listened carefully, making mental notes. When the discussion turned to Colony 7, a Viridian mining outpost, Nathan noticed a problem in the numbers. The Dorn representative, a gaseous being in a containment suit, was arguing that Colony 7 should pay higher taxes on its exports. The colony produces 300,000 units of duridium annually. They can afford to pay 15% instead of 10%. Before he could stop himself, Nathan spoke up. That's incorrect. The room went silent. All eyes turned to him. The human speaks. The Arcturian said mockingly. And what would you know about duridium mining? Nathan swallowed hard but continued. According to the reports on the screens, Colony 7 produces 300,000 units of raw ore, not refined duridium. The refinement process loses 40% of mass. The actual yield is 180,000 units. At current market prices, a 15% tax would bankrupt the colony. There was a long silence. High Chancellor Zorvac looked at Nathan with new interest. The human is correct, said a data specialist who quickly checked the figures. The numbers were misrepresented. The Dorn representative's containment suit changed color from blue to red, a sign of embarrassment or anger. The Arcturian clicked its mandibles in annoyance. Princess Ilara was staring at Nathan. For the first time, she didn't look disgusted by him. After the meeting, Nathan was walking back to his quarters when a door opened in front of him. 3 Viridians in dark clothing grabbed him and pulled him inside a small room. Human, one hissed. You have no place here. You pollute our royal bloodline. The tallest one pressed a device against Nathan's neck. This will look like a natural death. No more human problem. Suddenly, Nathan felt a strange sensation in his head. The 3 attackers grabbed their heads in pain. Their eyes widened in shock. He's blocking us, one said. That's impossible. The door burst open. Palace guards rushed in and seized the attackers. Behind them stood Princess Ella. Nathan sat in High Chancellor Zorvac's private chamber, trying to process what he had just heard. The room was lit by soft blue lights that pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Let me understand this, Nathan said. Your people visited Earth thousands of years ago? Zorvac nodded. His blue skin looked paler than usual. We explored many worlds. On Earth, we left markers in human DNA. Insurance, you might say. Insurance for what? Nathan asked. For our survival. Zorvac touched a control panel. A hologram appeared showing complex DNA strands. The Viridian species is dying, Nathan. For centuries, we engineered our genetics to make ourselves stronger, smarter, longer lived. But we went too far. The hologram changed to show cellular breakdown. Our genetic structure is becoming unstable. Each generation is weaker than the last. Soon there will be no more Viridians. And I have something in my DNA that can help? Nathan asked. Not just something, everything. Zorvac's black eyes fixed on Nathan. You have the purest form of the original markers. Your DNA contains coding sequences that our scientists could never recreate. Princess Ilara entered the room. She looked at Nathan differently now, with curiosity, instead of disgust. The marriage ceremony must proceed as planned, she said, but now you understand its true purpose. Nathan stood up. So this whole thing was just to get my DNA? You could have just asked for blood samples. No, Zorvac said. The activation process is complex. It requires the formal bond between you and Ilara, using ancient technology that responds to both bloodlines. What activation process? Nathan asked, suddenly worried. The dormant genes in your DNA will fully activate during the ceremony, Ilara explained. You've already shown signs, your resistance to our telepathy, your enhanced cognitive functions. And what happens to me during this activation? Nathan asked. Zorvac and Ilara exchanged glances. No one knows exactly, Zorvac admitted. You are the first human with the perfect genetic markers. 3 days later, the marriage ceremony began. The great temple was filled with dignitaries from across the galaxy. Most came to witness what they thought would be a humiliating spectacle, a human trying to participate in complex Viridian rituals. Nathan wore ceremonial robes of silvery material that felt like liquid against his skin. Elara stood across from him, beautiful and solemn in white robes with glowing blue patterns. The ceremony was long and complicated. Nathan repeated words in the ancient Viridian language that Elara had taught him. Strange machines hummed around them, technology that looked both ancient and advanced. When they reached the final ritual, Elara took Nathan's hands. Their fingers were pressed against matching crystal panels. "Now we complete the bond." "The Viridian," priest said. Light flowed from the crystals up Nathan's arms. Pain shot through his body. He tried to pull away but couldn't move. The light spread across his chest and up to his head. Images flashed through his mind. Stars, planets, civilizations, rising and falling. Knowledge poured into him like water into an empty vessel. Languages, mathematics, sciences he had never heard of. Nathan screamed and collapsed to the floor. The crowd gasped. Some laughed, thinking the human had failed the ritual. But then Nathan's eyes opened. They glowed with blue light. He stood up, his movements graceful and precise. When he spoke, his voice resonated with new power. "I see," he said simply. Elara stared at him in wonder. "What do you see?" "Everything." Nathan looked around the room. He could sense the thoughts of everyone present. He could see the complex energy patterns of the temple technology. Most importantly, he could access the vast Viridian knowledge network directly with his mind. "The activation is complete," Zorvac announced. "The union is sealed." As Nathan looked at the surprised and now silent crowd, he realized that everything had changed. He was no longer just Nathan Wright from Earth. He had become something new, the key to saving an ancient species and, though he didn't know it yet, the future ruler of the galaxy. Raw, her eyes wide with surprise. "How did you do that?" "She asked Nathan. "They tried to use telepathic paralysis on you. No non-Viridian has ever resisted it." Nathan touched his neck where the device had been. "I don't know. I just felt something strange and pushed back." Later, in High Chancellor Zorvac's private study, the Chancellor and Princess Elara watched a hologram of Nathan's brain. "It's activating. Just as I predicted," Zorvac said. "The dormant genes are responding to Viridian telepathic contact." "What does this mean, Father?" Elara asked. Zorvac smiled. "It means our species might survive after all. The human is more important than anyone," realized even him. News of Nathan's transformation spread across the galaxy faster than light speed. 1 month after the ceremony, the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. This time, they met on neutral ground, the space station Concordia, which floated in unclaimed territory. Nathan and Elara arrived together. They no longer looked like an awkward, mismatched pair. Nathan moved with the same fluid grace as the Viridians now. His eyes occasionally flashed blue when he accessed the knowledge network. Elara stayed close to him, their earlier hostility replaced by genuine connection. "The human concerns us," said the Arcturian representative as soon as the meeting began. "He has accessed forbidden Viridian technology." "Not forbidden," Nathan replied calmly. "Just forgotten. The knowledge was always there, waiting to be rediscovered." His perfect pronunciation of the Arcturian language, with its complex clicks and whistles, surprised everyone. No human had ever mastered it before. "You speak our language?" the Arcturian asked, its mandibles clicking rapidly. "I speak all 12 council languages now," Nathan said. "A benefit of the activation." The Dorn representative's containment suit bubbled anxiously. "What else can you do, human?" Before Nathan could answer, Kira Daniels entered the chamber. She no longer wore her diplomatic uniform, but instead was dressed in the black outfit of Earth's Defense Intelligence. "Forgive the interruption," she said, "but this can't wait." She placed a data cube on the table. "We've discovered a plot against the Viridian-Human Alliance." The cube projected images of weapon stockpiles and fleet movements. "The Arcturian Dominion has been preparing for war. They planned to attack Viridia Prime and Earth simultaneously. The Arcturian representative leaped up. "These are lies. The human female is—" "She speaks the truth," Nathan interrupted. He looked directly at the Arcturian. "I can sense your deception. Your mind is loud. You read my thoughts?" The Arcturian's voice rose to a screech. "This is an outrage." "Not intentionally," Nathan said. "But strong emotions are difficult to block, especially guilt and fear." Other council members began speaking all at once. Some demanded the Arcturians be punished. Others worried about Nathan's growing powers. The chamber descended into chaos. Ilara touched Nathan's hand. Through their mental connection, she sent a single thought. "Show them." Nathan stood up. He raised his hands, and suddenly every screen in the chamber displayed the same images. Detailed plans for the Arcturian attack, communications between Arcturian leaders, weapon specifications. "I accessed these from the Arcturian military network," Nathan explained. "They've been planning this for years. They saw the human-Viridian marriage as a sign of Viridian weakness. They thought it was the perfect time to strike." The Arcturian representative backed away from the table. "This is an invasion of our sovereignty. The human has declared war on us." "No," Nathan said firmly. "I'm trying to prevent war. All I want is peace." "Peace?" The Krell representative clicked its mandibles skeptically. "You possess powers no individual should have. How can we trust you?" "Judge me by my actions," Nathan replied. "I could have kept this information secret. I could have let the Arcturians attack. Instead, I brought it to the council." As the meeting continued, representatives from 6 council races approached Nathan privately. They offered alliances, trade deals, and military support. The galaxy was dividing, with some species fearing Nathan's abilities and others seeking to align with this powerful new force. That night, on their ship returning to Viridia Prime, Ilara found Nathan staring out at the stars. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "About balance," he said quietly. "I have a 3 months after exposing the Arcturian plot." Nathan sat in the medical wing of the Viridian Palace. Ilara lay on a bed nearby, surrounded by doctors and machines. She smiled weakly at him, her blue skin paler than usual. "It's confirmed," the head doctor said. "Princess Ilara is pregnant, the first Viridian human child in history." Nathan took Ilara's hand. Even now he was amazed by how things had changed between them. What had started as a political arrangement had become genuine. "Love, is the baby healthy?" Nathan asked. The doctor hesitated. "The genetic scans show unusual patterns. The child has both Viridian and human DNA, but there are sequences we've never seen before. The activation process has affected the embryo." "Is there danger?" Ilara asked, concern in her voice. "We don't know," the doctor admitted. "This is completely new territory." Later that day, High Chancellor Zorvac called Nathan to his private chamber. The old Viridian looked tired but happy. "An heir," he said. "You have succeeded beyond our hopes, Nathan. The news is already spreading throughout the galaxy." "Not everyone will be pleased," Nathan said. "No," Zorvac agreed. "The Arcturians are already calling the child an abomination. Others fear what powers it might have." Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the palace. Kira burst into the room. "We're under attack," she shouted. "A small Arcturian strike team somehow bypassed our defenses. They're heading for the medical wing." Nathan was already running. His enhanced speed took him through the palace corridors faster than the guards could follow. When he reached the medical wing, he found 3 Arcturian warriors trying to enter Ilara's room. 2 Viridian guards lay dead on the floor. "Stop!" Nathan commanded. The Arcturians turned, weapons raised. They wore armor that covered their insect-like bodies completely. "The heir must not live," one said. "We will not be ruled by a half-breed." They fired their weapons. Energy beams shot toward Nathan, but he raised his hand and the beam stopped mid-air. The Arcturians fired again and again, but nothing reached him. Nathan's eyes glowed bright blue. "You threatened my wife and child," he said quietly. "That was a mistake. With a gesture, he disabled their weapons. With another, he froze them in place. I could kill you, he told them. I know exactly how your biology works. I could stop your hearts with a thought. But that's not who I want to be. Instead, Nathan touched each Arcturian's head. They screamed as he temporarily linked their minds to his, showing them his vision of a peaceful galaxy. When Palace security finally arrived, they found the Arcturians unconscious but alive. Nathan stood calmly, unharmed. The news of Nathan's defense against the Arcturian assassins spread quickly. Security recordings showed his power and his mercy. Many who had feared him began to see him differently. 1 week later, the Galactic Council convened again. This time, 6 species formally pledged alliance with the Viridian Human Union. They placed their hands on a glowing orb, an ancient symbol of trust. We recognize the child of Nathan and Alara as a legitimate heir, said the Krell representative, surprising everyone. The Krell had always been neutral. The Arcturian chair was empty. They had withdrawn from the council in protest. The Dorn and 2 other species remained neutral, watching carefully. As Nathan and Alara returned to Viridia Prime, their ship received a priority message. It came from Earth's highest authority. Earth formally recognizes Nathan Wright as our representative to the Viridian Empire, it read. All human colonies will answer to his authority in galactic matters. They're scared of me, Nathan said sadly. No, Alara corrected him. They're recognizing your power. There's a difference. She placed his hand on her belly. Our child will change everything, Nathan. The galaxy is already beginning to kneel, not out of fear but out of hope for what we might build together. All this knowledge, all these abilities, but the more powerful I become, the more they fear me. Fear can be useful, Alara said. It keeps enemies at bay. Nathan shook his head. I don't want enemies. I don't want anyone to kneel before me out of fear. Then what do you want? Alara asked. A galaxy where no species dominates another, where knowledge is shared, not hoarded. He turned to her. Is that possible? Not without a fight, she said. The old powers won't give up easily. Then, we'll have to show them a better way, Nathan replied, his eyes glowing blue in the darkness of space. 5 months after the assassination attempt, the Galactic Council gathered for an emergency session. The Grand Chamber on Concordia Station was divided into 2 sections. On one side sat the 6 species allied with Nathan and the Viridians. On the other side were the Arcturians and their 4 allies. The Dorn floated in their containment suits in the neutral middle ground. Nathan entered with Alara beside him. Her pregnancy was now visible. Her blue skin stretched over the growing child. Guards surrounded them, though Nathan hardly needed protection anymore. This council is now in session, announced the neutral mediator, a Dorn elder. The Arcturian Dominion has called for a vote of no confidence in the Viridian leadership. The Arcturian representative stood. His insect-like form seemed more threatening than before. The balance of power in our galaxy is at risk, he said. The human Nathan Wright has become too powerful. The child he has created with Princess Alara may inherit abilities that could threaten all our species. We demand restrictions on Viridian human genetic research. There is no research, Nathan replied calmly. There is only our child, growing naturally. Natural? The Arcturian's voice rose. There is nothing natural about you anymore. You access our secure networks. You disable our weapons with a thought. You know our biological weaknesses. No single being should have such power. Murmurs of agreement came from the Arcturian allies. Even some of Nathan's allies looked uncomfortable. Nathan stood up. I understand your fears, he said, but judge me by my actions. I have used my abilities to prevent war, not start it. I have shared medical knowledge that has saved lives on 12 worlds. Pretty words, said another Arcturian ally. But we have evidence of your true intentions. A hologram appeared showing what looked like Viridian warships gathering near Arcturian space. You prepare for war while speaking of peace, the Arcturian representative accused. Nathan studied the images, then smiled slightly. "These images are fake," he said. "The Viridian fleet is currently engaged in relief efforts in the Outer Rim. I can prove it." He closed his eyes briefly. On all screens around the chamber, real-time footage appeared showing Viridian ships delivering supplies to planets recovering from a solar storm. "Furthermore," Nathan continued, "I can show the origin of these false images." Another set of images appeared, showing Arcturian intelligence officers creating the fake footage. The chamber erupted in angry shouts. The Arcturian representatives' mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. "This is the last straw," he shouted. "The human invades our secure facilities. He spies on our operations." "I don't need to spy," Nathan said quietly. "Your deceptions are obvious to anyone who looks carefully. You want war because you fear change." The Arcturian turned to its allies. "We withdraw from this corrupt council. We will protect ourselves by any means necessary." As they stormed out, the remaining council members looked at each other uncertainly. "What happens now?" asked the Krell representative. "Now we prepare," Alara said, standing beside Nathan. "The Arcturians won't accept defeat. They will attack soon, later, in their private quarters." Kira brought Nathan news from Earth. "All human colonies are on high alert," she reported. "Earth Defense Force ships are moving to protect our outer settlements. The Arcturians have allies near 3 of our major colonies." Nathan nodded. "The Viridian fleet will help protect them." "And what about you?" Kira asked. "Everyone's wondering what you'll do when the fighting starts." Nathan placed his hand on Alar. The attack came 3 weeks later. A massive fleet of Arcturian warships appeared near Viridia Prime. At the same time, their allies launched attacks on 2 human colonies and several Viridian outposts. In the royal palace, alarms sounded as the defensive shields activated. Alara was moved to the secure bunker deep underground. Nathan stood in the command center with High Chancellor Zorvac and Kira, watching the enemy ships approach on the large screens. "Their main fleet has over 200 warships," Kira reported, "more than we expected." "We can't win this battle conventionally," Zorvac said gravely. "Even with our allies, we are outnumbered." Nathan closed his eyes. "I'm ready." For months, he had been preparing for this moment. Deep in the palace, a network of ancient Viridian technology had been reactivated and modified. Nathan had connected it to his enhanced mind, creating something new and powerful. "Begin the evacuation of the outer cities," Nathan ordered. "Move everyone toward the shielded areas." As the Arcturian fleet moved into attack position, Nathan walked to a circular platform in the center of the room. He sat cross-legged and placed his hands on 2 glowing panels. "Whatever happens," he told Kira and Zorvac, "don't interrupt the process." Nathan's eyes glowed bright blue. Energy flowed from the panels up his arms and spread throughout his body. He began to levitate slightly above the platform. In space, the Arcturian ships fired their first volleys. Massive energy beams struck the Viridian shields. The palace shook from the impact. Nathan's consciousness expanded beyond his body. He reached out with his mind, touching the ancient defensive network that the original Viridians had built throughout their star system. Dormant for millennia, the network awakened at his command. Invisible energy fields spread from Viridia Prime, engulfing the Arcturian fleet. Their weapons stopped firing. Their engines shut down. 200 warships hung motionless in space. But Nathan didn't stop there. His mind reached further, connecting to similar networks near the human colonies and Viridian outposts under attack. Throughout the galaxy, enemy ships suddenly lost power. "It's working," Kira whispered in awe. Then Nathan began the second phase of his plan. From his floating form, waves of mental energy pulsed outward. He wasn't attacking the Arcturians and their allies. He was connecting with them. Every being on those ships suddenly felt a presence in their minds. Nathan showed them memories. Human memories of family and love. Viridian memories of art and beauty. He showed them the hopes for his unborn child. Most importantly, he showed them his vision of a galaxy where all species work together, sharing knowledge instead of hoarding it. The process lasted for hours. When it finally ended, Nathan descended back to the platform, exhausted but smiling. "It's done," he said simply. 1 week later, the Galactic Council reconvened. Every member race attended, including the Arcturians. Their representative approached Nathan without hostility. "We felt what you felt," the Arcturian said. "We saw through your eyes. We understand now what we could not understand before." The council chamber was silent as the Arcturian bent its form in a deep bow before Nathan. "We do not bow out of fear," the Arcturian explained. "We bow out of respect for what you chose not to do. You could have destroyed us. Instead, you showed us another way." One by one, representatives from all 12 species approached and bowed, not in submission to a conqueror, but in recognition of a new beginning. 3 months later, Nathan stood beside Ilara as she gave birth to their child. The baby girl had blue skin with a golden glow, and eyes that shifted between human green and viridian black. As Nathan held his daughter for the first time, he sensed her unique mind already forming. She would be neither fully human nor fully viridian, but something new. A bridge between worlds. Outside the palace, representatives from all 12 council races waited to greet the child. The galaxy had not knelt before a tyrant as they had feared. Instead, it had knelt to welcome a new future, one where understanding replaced fear and cooperation replaced domination. The council that had once mocked the match now celebrated the heir who had changed the galaxy forever. As Belly, feeling the child move, "I won't start this war," he said. "But I will end it." "How?" Kira asked. Nathan's eyes glowed blue. "I've been working on something, a way to connect minds across vast distances. Not to control, but to understand. If I can make the Arcturians feel what it's like to be human, to be viridian." "You think understanding will stop their hatred?" Ilara asked. "It's our best hope," Nathan replied, "because the alternative is using my power to destroy them. And if I do that, I become what they fear most."